Welcome back once again. We have discussed resistive sensors and pressure sensors in our last sessions. In this session, we'll be discussing piezoelectric transducers. Piezoelectric transducers are one type of pressure sensors only. They convert pressure into the electrical signal. This piezoelectricity was discovered in 1880 by Curie brothers, and it is found that only certain crystals like quartz, Rochelle salt, ceramics exhibit this kind of piezoelectric effect. According to this effect, if we apply pressure along certain axis, which we may call as mechanical axis of the crystal, then equal and opposite charges are developed along the perpendicular axis, which may be called as electrical axis. The magnitude of these charges is found to be directly proportional to the application of pressure. Instead of pressing the crystal, if we stretch the crystal, then also equal and opposite charges are found to be developed along the perpendicular direction, but this time the polarities of these charges are reversed. What is happening here is, when you apply the pressure, length of the piezoelectric crystal is decreasing along the mechanical axis, and when we stretch the crystal, the length of the piezoelectric crystal is increasing along the mechanical axis. This deformation or stretch is causing the charges to be produced, giving rise to the electric field along the electrical axis. The reason behind this is, in piezoelectric crystals like quartz, unit cell is not symmetrical. The atoms may not be arranged symmetrically, but the charges are balanced. But when we squeeze or stretch this piezoelectric crystal, the structure is altered and the balance of charges is disturbed, giving rise to equal and opposite charges. So, in simple words, we can say, whenever there is a change in length of the piezoelectric crystal along the mechanical axis, electric field is introduced along the electrical axis. When the length of the piezoelectric crystal decreases, the direction of electric field is this, and when the length of the piezoelectric crystal increases, the direction of electric field is reversed. Converse of this piezoelectric effect is also true. That is, if we apply electric field along the electrical axis by introducing the potential difference across the two edges of the piezoelectric crystal, then change in length is observed along the mechanical axis. This converse of the piezoelectric effect can be used for the production of ultrasonic waves. Now, how the ultrasonic waves are produced with the help of piezoelectric transducer, that will be discussing in the next slide. We have seen a piezoelectric effect in the last slide. According to this effect, if we apply pressure on the piezoelectric crystal along certain direction called mechanical axis, then equal and opposite charges are developed along the electrical axis, which is perpendicular to the mechanical axis. Due to application of pressure, the dimension of the crystal change along the mechanical axis, and this change in dimension gives rise to the electric field along the electrical axis. Converse of this effect is also true. According to the converse of piezoelectric effect, if we apply electric field along the electrical axis by applying potential difference across the two faces of the crystal, then change in dimension is observed along the mechanical axis. So, this converse of piezoelectric effect can be used for generation of ultrasonic sound wave. So, here we are keeping this piezoelectric crystal over here, and we are applying alternating signal along the electrical axis. So, because of this alternating signal, the length of the piezoelectric crystal will continuously increase, decrease, increase, decrease, and this increase, decrease in length of the piezoelectric crystal will set vibrations in the surrounding medium, which will travel as sound wave. If we adjust the frequency of this alternating source to be greater than 20,000 hertz, and if that frequency matches with natural frequency of this quartz crystal, then we will get ultrasonic waves which have the frequency which is equal to the frequency of the alternating signal. So this is a simple circuit which can be used for producing the ultrasonic sound using piezoelectric transducer. So in this we are keeping a quartz crystal, a plate of the quartz crystal between two plates A and B. The alternating signal is generated by using a parallel combination of a capacitor and inductance. The frequency of the AC signal generated will be 1 upon 2 pi square root of L2C. This AC signal is coupled to the coil L, and the alternating signal will be applied along the electrical axis of this quartz plate. Once the AC signal is applied along the electrical axis of this plate, the length of the plate will increase, decrease, increase, decrease, increase, decrease along the mechanical axis, and this increase, decrease in length of the quartz plate will give rise to the sound wave. Now the frequency of ultrasonic sound wave must be greater than 20,000 Hertz, and therefore we will adjust the value of C so that the frequency of the alternating signal applied is equal to or greater than 20,000 Hertz. So we will adjust the value of C to get the frequency value greater than 20,000 Hertz. And if this frequency matches with the fundamental frequency of this quartz plate, the fundamental frequency of the quartz plate is given by 1 by 2t square root of y by rho, where t is thickness of the quartz plate, y is Young's modulus of quartz, and rho is density of quartz. So if the frequency of AC signal matches with the fundamental frequency of the quartz plate, then resonance occurs, and we will get the ultrasonic wave with highest amplitude. Now what is the use of this transistor in this circuit? As we are passing a very high frequency current through this coil, the inductive reactance of the coil will come into picture, which is given by 2 pi FL. So it depends on F, frequency of the AC signal. So as for generating ultrasonic sound, this frequency needs to be very high, and when this frequency is very high, the inductive reactance of the coil is also very high. Due to this, the current level through the coil will reduce, and now we are using this transistor in order to amplify that current level. So whenever the current level in the circuit tries to reduce, this transistor amplifies it, and this way the electrical oscillations produced are continuously maintained, and we will be getting ultrasonic waves continuously. Okay, once we have seen how to generate the ultrasonic sound, now let us discuss some of the applications of ultrasonic sound. The main application of ultrasonic sound is in distance measurement. So it can be used to measure the distance, and the phenomenon used for the distance measurement using ultrasonic sound is echo sounding. So in echo sounding, what is done? In echo sounding, we transmit the ultrasonic beam towards the object. It strikes the object and reflected back from the object. Time taken by the beam to go towards the object and returning back is measured, and using velocity of sound in the medium, the distance of the object can be calculated. Based on echo sounding, we can have different applications like detection of flaws in metal, which is also called as non-destructive testing. Sonar, sound navigation and ranging. We can find depth of the sea. Actually this will also come under sound navigation and ranging only. So let us see these applications one by one. Detection of flaws in metal, also called as non-destructive testing. In this we transmit the ultrasonic wave from one side to the other side. Now if there is no flaw inside the metal, the wave will travel to the other end and will be reflected back from the other end. At this same end from where it was transmitted, it will be received. On CRO, the transmitted pulse and the received pulse is noted, and time gap between the transmitted pulse and received pulse is found out. Now if there is a crack, a flaw, a defect inside the metal block, then what will happen? The ultrasonic wave, part of the ultrasonic wave will be reflected back from that crack, and if it is reflected back from the shorter distance, the pulse will be received before receiving the pulse from the other end of object. So this y is the pulse which is reflected from the defect, and if you find out the time difference between this pulse which was transmitted, this is a transmitted pulse. So if you find the time difference between transmitted pulse and this received pulse which is received from crack, this time difference will be always less than the time difference between the pulse, transmitted pulse, and the pulse received from the other end. So if you are getting a pulse in less amount of time, then that means there is some crack or defect inside the metal block. So this is how we can find the flaw inside the metal without breaking it. So this is called as non-destructive testing. Sonar stands for sound navigation and ranging. In sonar, the ultrasonic sound waves are transmitted in all directions. So wherever there is an object, the ultrasonic wave is reflected from that object, and by noting the time taken by the ultrasonic wave to go towards the object and coming back, distance of the object from the transmitting center can be found out. So we can locate the objects in different direction with this type of screen. To find depth of the sea, now this will also come under sonar only. To find depth of the sea, the ultrasonic wave is transmitted towards the seabed. It is reflected back from the seabed, and the time taken by the wave to come back is measured. If this time is t, and if v is the velocity of ultrasonic sound in the sea water, then we can find out depth of the sea to be equal to Vt upon 2. Vt is the distance traveled by the ultrasonic waves. So it is traveling this distance 2 times, and therefore we are dividing it by 2. Velocity of sound in sea water is different from the velocity of sound in air. In air it is 340 meter per second, but water being the denser medium, the velocity of sound will be more. And because sea water has got salts in it, the density of sea water will depend on the salinity level also, and the temperature of the sea water also. So the velocity of sound in sea water is given by this relation: v is equal to v naught plus 1.14 s plus 4.21 t minus 0.037 t square, where v naught is the velocity of sound in pure water at 0 degree Celsius, s is salinity measured in grams per liter, and t is temperature in degree Celsius. So once we get the value of the velocity, we can calculate the depth of the sea by noting the time taken by the wave to come back from the seabed. This is one more application of ultrasonic transducer to measure velocity of liquid or gas. So ultrasonic transducer can be used in ultrasonic flow meter, and it can be used to determine the velocity of fluid, that is liquid or gas. So this diagram gives us a basic idea about ultrasonic flow meter. This is a pipe through which the fluid is flowing, gas or liquid is flowing. The fluid is flowing with average velocity v in this direction. Two ultrasonic transducers are fixed on the two sides of the pipe. This is the transducer number 1, T1, and this is ultrasonic transducer number 2, that is T2. This T1 can transmit the ultrasonic wave and it can receive the ultrasonic wave. Similarly, T2 can also transmit the wave and can receive the wave. Now if the velocity of ultrasonic sound in the liquid or gas for which we are measuring the velocity is u, then the time taken by the ultrasonic wave to go from transducer T1 to transducer T2 can be calculated as L upon u plus v cos theta. U is the velocity of ultrasonic wave in the fluid, and v cos theta is component of the velocity of flight in this direction. And from this we can write u plus v cos theta to be equal to L upon T1. So let us call this as equation number 1. Now if you consider the ultrasonic wave going from T2 to T1, then it will move with resultant velocity u minus v cos theta. Now this is moving in opposite direction, so the component of velocity v along this direction will be minus v cos theta, and therefore the time taken by the wave to go from T2 to T1 is L upon u minus v cos theta, and this gives u minus v cos theta to be equal to L upon T2. Let us call this as equation number 2. Now if you subtract equation 2 from equation 1, so 1 minus 2 gives this u will get cancelled, and this will become plus. So 2v cos theta plus v cos theta, 2v cos theta will be equal to L upon T1 minus L upon T2, this minus this. And from this relation we can write the relation for v now. So velocity of fluid is equal to L upon 2 cos theta into bracket T2 minus T1 upon T1 T2. So we can determine the velocity of gas or liquid by measuring this distance L between the two transducers, by knowing the value of theta, and by measuring the time T1 taken by the ultrasonic wave to go from transducer T1 to T2, and time T2 taken by the ultrasonic wave to go from T2 to T1. This is how ultrasonic flow meter can be used to measure the velocity of flight. After understanding the applications of ultrasonic transducers, let us solve some of the simple problems based on the topics that we have studied. First one, simple one. Find the natural frequency of a piezoelectric crystal of thickness 1.5 millimeter, given that Young's modulus is 8 into 10 raised to 10 Newton per meter square and density is 2650 kg per meter cube. So this is a straightforward problem. F is equal to 1 upon 2L square root of y by rho. So here L is given as 1.5 millimeter. So we are writing it as 1.5 into 10 raised to minus 3 meters, because Young's modulus and density are given in SI system. So we will write this L also in SI system. Y is 8 into 10 raised to 10 and rho is 2650, and we can calculate the natural frequency, also called as fundamental frequency, to be 1.83 into 10 raised to 6 hertz, which is nothing but 1.83 megahertz. This is the next one, which is based on the same relation for fundamental frequency. Find the natural frequency of vibrations of quartz plate of thickness 1.8 millimeters, given Young's modulus for quartz is 8 into 10 raised to 10 Newton per meter square and density is 2650 kg per meter cube. Also calculate change in thickness required if the same plate is to be used to produce ultrasonic waves of frequency 2 megahertz. So in this problem, first we will calculate the fundamental frequency, and then for a given fundamental frequency of 2 megahertz we will find out the thickness required, and then we can find out difference in the thickness. So the thickness is given 1.8 millimeter, that is 1.8 into 10 raised to minus 3 meters. So using that we calculated the fundamental frequency as 1.53 megahertz. Now if the fundamental frequency is 2 megahertz, then how much thickness is required? So here we will substitute F to be equal to 2 megahertz, 2 into 10 raised to 6, and we will calculate the required value of thickness. It is calculated as 1.37 into 10 raised to minus 3 meters, that is 1.37 millimeter. What is asked is not this value of thickness, but the question is calculate the change in thickness required. So change in thickness will be the original thickness, that is 1.8 millimeters, minus new thickness, that is 1.37 millimeter. So the change in thickness required is 0.43 millimeters. This is a simple problem. Find the echo time of ultrasonic pulse traveling with velocity 5.9 into 10 raised to 3 meter per second in mild steel whose thickness displayed by gauge is 18 millimeter. So the thickness is found with the help of echo sounding. Ultrasonic wave is transmitted towards the other end and it is received back. So what is the time taken by this wave to come back? So this is the problem here. Thickness is given as 18 millimeter and velocity of sound in the steel is also given. So we can write the relation thickness equal to Vt upon 2, because the distance is traveled 2 times, so that's why we are dividing it by 2. So from this the echo time T can be written as 2 into thickness upon V. So thickness is 18 millimeter, which we are writing as 18 into 10 raised to minus 3 meters, and velocity is 5.9 into 10 raised to 3 meter per second. So the echo time can be calculated as 6.1 into 10 raised to 6 seconds, or we can call it as 6.1 microseconds. In this problem we will try to find out depth of the sea. So the data given is an ultrasonic beam of 1 centimeter wavelength is sent by a ship, returns from the seabed after 2 seconds. So echo time is given as 2 seconds. If velocity of ultrasonic beam in seawater is 1510 meter per second at 0 degree Celsius, its salinity at 30 degree Celsius is 29 grams per liter. Calculate depth of the sea at 30 degree Celsius and frequency of the ultrasonic beam. So first let us try to calculate the depth of the sea, and to find depth of the sea we need velocity of sound ultrasonic beam in the seawater. So velocity of ultrasonic beam in seawater at a given temperature T is given by V naught plus 1.14 S plus 4.21 T minus 0.037 T square. V naught is velocity of ultrasonic sound in water at 0 degree Celsius, so that is given to us. S is salinity in grams per liter, so that is also given. T is temperature in degree Celsius, 30 degree Celsius in this case. So we can find the velocity of sound in seawater as 1636.06 meter per second. Once we get velocity, we can find depth by using this relation Vt by 2. T is the echo time, which is given as 2 seconds. So the depth is calculated as 1636.06 meters. So this is depth of the sea. Now to find frequency of ultrasonic beam, we can use the relation frequency is equal to V by lambda. We just now calculated. Lambda is given to us 1 centimeter, that is 1 into 10 raised to minus 2 meters, and therefore the frequency of ultrasonic beam calculated is 163.60 kilohertz. This is another one. 2 ships are anchored at certain distance between them. An ultrasonic signal of 50 kilohertz is sent from one ship to the another by 2 routes, through water and through atmosphere. The difference between time intervals for receiving the signal at the other ship is 2 seconds. If velocities of sound in the atmosphere and in the seawater are 348 meter per second and 1392 meter per second respectively, find the distance between the ships. Also find time taken by the signal to travel through water. So here we have got 2 ships anchored at some distance d between them. So let the distance between the ships is d. Ultrasonic wave is transmitted from one ship to the other ship through water and through atmosphere. Time taken by the ultrasonic wave to reach the other ship through water is T water, and through atmosphere it is T atmosphere. as the velocity of sound in atmosphere is less than the velocity of sound in water, T atmosphere minus T water can be written as 2 seconds, because one signal is received after the time 2 seconds after the earlier signal. Signal traveling through water will reach first. So T atmosphere minus T water is equal to 2 seconds. We can write the relation for the distance between the two ships as the product of velocity and time. So Vt, we can write it as V water into T water. V water is given as 1392, and we can also write the distance to be equal to V atmosphere into T atmosphere. T atmosphere from this relation can be written as 2 plus T water. So from this we can write D to be equal to 348 into 2, that is 696, plus 348 T water, that is equal to 1392 T water. So here we got one equation with one unknown, and that unknown T water can be easily calculated now. So it is calculated as 0.667 seconds. So time taken by the signal to travel through water we have already calculated 0.667 seconds. With this time and with the velocity of ultrasonic wave in water, we can calculate the distance D now. D is equal to V water into T water. T water we calculated. V water is given 1392 meter per second. So D is calculated as 928.46 meters. So till now we have discussed resistive sensors, pressure sensors and piezoelectric transducers. In the next session we will be discussing optical sensors and pyroelectric sensors. So thank you for watching. If you have any query, you have my WhatsApp number with you, or you can contact me through Google Classroom as well. Thank you.